Who am I and who are you? The ultimate questions for who we are as whole beings experiencing on this earth in this human journey. And to find the answers to these questions, we are going to be sitting down and exploring the minds for the wisdom and knowledge of the layers that make up our beings. From the mind, to the emotions, to the body, and to the astral with the light body. We will be exploring these different multi-dimensional aspects of who we are as the I Am presence in this world on earth, in the human experience. We'll get to have fun, cracking smiles, and diving deep into the knowledge with different psychics, intuitives, shamans, coaches, teachers, practitioners, and many more different beautiful conscious souls of the everyday life to gather the information we need in order to unravel these layers and become more aware and present in ourself as the whole I Am presence that we are. And I'm very grateful for this and really look forward to the journey. So thank you all for tapping in and being a part of this. And I am your host, Marcus, aka Crystallite, and I will be on this journey with you from the beginning to the end as we travel through the process of clearing layers.
The word shamanism before, but what does it actually mean? Let's dive in. Shamanism is one of the world's oldest spiritual practices. At its core, it's about connecting with nature, spirits, and the unseen world, all to bring healing and guidance. Shamans use drumming, chanting, and rituals to enter altered states of consciousness, where they seek wisdom for their people. It's not a religion, but a set of practices found in cultures from Siberia to South America. Curious to learn more? Hit subscribe and join us as we explore the ancient art of shamanism.
This Sunday, August 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern, tap in and tune in and join us for another episode of Season 2 of the process of clearing layers. This will be episode 7, Shamanism, with our sacred guest, shamanic practitioner, Clarke of Stargazing Angel LLC. Deep dive with us as we explore the multifaceted layers of shamanism and the many different practices and modalities that come with it, and see how it can best benefit you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically as we explore with Tina Clarke. Tune into this episode on YouTube, Sacred Light Broadcast Network, Facebook Live, Crystal Light Robbins. Ashe. Grand day and welcome. Thank you guys for joining me on another episode of The Process of Clearing Layers, Season 2. I am gratefully your host, Marcus Crystallite, founder of Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. And a little bit about this journey that we are on in this holistic series is that we are sitting every Sunday with a fresh, conscious, wonderful soul. These range from shamans to psychics, intuitives, teachers, students, as well as many other gifted conscious beings. And as we sit with them, we explore their minds and we explore a little bit about their story and their journeys that has led them to their divine passion and call to action with divine service on this planet. And with that, we get to hear about a practice, modality, or conscious way of life that they have the information, knowledge, and wisdom of for us to be able to tangibly digest and bring into our everyday life, no matter our age, our race, our gender, where we're from, but just being able to meet with where we're at and receive these tools and this guidance so we can introduce it, not just for ourselves, but for our family, our children, and those that we love around the world. So with that being said, if you guys want to support this series, this movement, you guys can always donate. Donations are down below in the ticker and in the description. And you guys can also reach out and you can have an episode in this series as well as other podcasts. And those are ways that you can support. And of course, like, share, subscribe. Those things always help as well with getting this knowledge out there to everybody. So with that being said, we are journeying on this episode into the shamanic healing realm as we are going to journey into the wholeness of shamanic healing. And joining us, we have a wonderful divine sister, and her name is Tina. She has been practicing shamanic healing since around 2015. She is also an incredible author of her book, Into the Trees. And she is joining us today to talk about shamanic healing, as well as a little bit about her story and relationship on the impact of shamanic healing. Tina, welcome.
Thank you, Marcus. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. It is a joy to have you, and I'm just really grateful for our connection and just the way it happened. You know, it was a very, very unique way that our connection took place. And for everybody out there, just a little bit of backstory. You know, we both were connected to this site called Podmatch, and Podmatch is basically it's like a center point to allow podcasters and streamers to be able to come together and share with each other. So we met on there originally, and then I actually hopped out of that profile for a little while, and then we scheduled a one-on-one with each other in a way that was kind of almost like multi-dimensional, like, because we had scheduled it before I got off of that website, and then that was a couple of months ago, but then she just reached out to me like recently, And the way it happened was just so divine. So I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, Tina's here with us today as she's going to talk about shamanic healing, a little bit about what it's had on her mental, emotional, and physical being, as well as others, and the potentials of what it can do for you in your everyday life. And with that being said, Tina, what is, if you don't mind giving us a little bit of insight, what was your life like during 2015 when you came across shamanic healing, and how did you develop this chemistry with this type of way of life?
Well, several years before I encountered my shamanism teacher, I was already starting to really meditate and explore all different kinds of esoteric topics. So I was really starting to dive deep. And I know we mentioned in a conversation before this that around 2012, a lot of us started really waking up to our true purpose on the planet. And I just was exploring things, and I ended up taking a tarot class with a Reiki teacher. And I really loved the class, and I loved the teacher as well. And I just wanted to take everything. When you meet the right teacher, you just want to learn everything you can from them. And so she and I were a lot of alike in abilities, and I do think that's a synchronicity. I think that was on purpose, that I needed to find a teacher that had the abilities, the latent abilities that I had, and kind of point out to me that those abilities are there. And so during this tarot class, I ended up sharing a dream with her. I've always been a prolific dreamer. And I asked her, is this really a dream, or is this, something more? And she said, I told her about the dream. And she said, I really feel like you had a spiritual connection in this dream. Do you often dream of people or animals that have passed? And I said, yes. I thought everybody did. This is the assumption that I've made many times in my life, that other people are like me, and that's not necessarily the case. So she said, well, if that's not really typical, if you're having past loved ones or animals show up to you in your dream state, you're a natural medium. And I was like, oh, really? And so we started exploring that together, because she was also a psychic medium. And as we progressed, I got all my Reiki training in 2014, early 2015. And once I finished with that, I started my shamanic training with her. And really what she was teaching and what I do is spiritual shamanism. So I don't use any herbs, or I don't do any of that. We really work by traveling to the spirit world, by connecting to helping spirits. And we do that through the process of shamanic journeying. And shamanic journeying is really like a self-guided meditation with specific steps. And in my book, Into the Tree, Journeying into the Spirit World, I outlined those steps that I take to do the shamanic journeys. And so the very first one that you ever do with a teacher is to find out what your power animals are. And so the first journey is to go meet with your power animals. So I met with my power animals, and they always journey with me. And they've been journeying with me ever since I started journeying. So you never journey without them. They're kind of like your protection in the spirit world, your security blanket, and your companion. And so I learned that, and then I learned a specific type of shamanic journey called the soul retrieval. And soul retrievals are done for people who feel like they're missing parts of themselves, or they're missing energy, and their energy could be stuck in other places and past events and other lifetimes. And when they feel this way, a soul retrieval is good for them. And I go and journey with the purpose of retrieving their lost soul pieces and bringing them back to them here in the present incarnation. Should I keep going, Marcus, or do you have any questions?
I mean, I was gonna say that's really up to you if you want to keep going, but well, thank you for sharing all of that. And I love that you brought up soul retrieval, because later on in this series, for everybody out there, you guys are actually going to be watching an episode specifically about soul retrieval itself. So keep an eye out for that later on in the series. You guys will definitely be tuning in for that as we dive into soul retrieval specifically. As far as your walk and the things that you've done, I just want to first of all say, thank you for your walk, and thank you for coming here and being a rainbow bridge on this planet. It's definitely something of good honor, and it's a very devoted path. It's not something that we can just ignore our shadows or ignore our patterns with. It's something that brings that to the forefront, and we got to really face them like a divine warrior that we are. So again, thank you for what you do.
Yeah, and, it is a calling, and a lot of people don't understand what we do, and we have to keep explaining it to them. But it's something that just doesn't come out of the blue. It's something that we've worked on many times in other lifetimes. And you don't just get born with a really good psychic abilities or healing abilities, or, you've earned it in other lifetimes. And you're bringing all that wisdom and energy into this present lifetime. I remember asking one of my first guides that ever showed up was Archangel Gabriel. And I would have these constant chats with him when I had questions. And I asked him, why is it so easy for me to connect to the angelics, to the angels? Because it's literally doesn't cause, it's like talking to you, Marcus, And he said, well, because you have worked really hard in other lifetimes to connect with us. And so you can bring your frequency and your energy in line with ours, and you can easily communicate and connect with us. And I was like, wow, okay. Well, I feel a little pride in myself for all the hard work that I've done. But it's something that we need to understand, that we are a soul within a body, and even that soul, there's only a part of our soul in this body, and that we're doing multiple things, multiple lifetimes at the same time. There's really no past, present, or future. When I say past lives, I say it because people understand that, but oftentimes I say other lifetimes because it's not really in the past. If you think about time as a circle, and you're looking at a circle, at one point there's me in 2025, but at another point there's me in Montana, hundreds of years ago, being a medicine woman. And then another point on the circle, I'm in Lemuria and living in Lemuria. And then other points on the circle, I am in Egypt. So all of those are happening right now. And even though we don't have the memory or know what's going on all the time with those other lifetimes, they still can bleed over to this lifetime. And that's why the journey, I do a journey, I often go into other people's lifetimes, because that has something to do with their questions, whatever questions they posed that I'm journeying on. And or the soul retrievals, often I go into their past childhood, or I go into another lifetime because their energy is stuck there. And it could be a good event, it doesn't have to be a negative one, but it was like an event where you never wanted to leave. And the problem with that is your energy is scattered around the circle of time, and you're feeling it now, and you want to bring that back to you now so you can have the energy and you can have the wisdom and knowledge that you had in that lifetime too. That comes back to you. So it's not good to be stuck, we know that. So we want to bring all that energy back to us so we can be whole and present right now. And we want that wisdom too. And I really think it's important for the listeners to know, and the people watching, that you have all this ancient wisdom and you can bring that back to you now. You have access to it because you earned it in other lifetimes. So all you have to say is, I want access to that ancient wisdom. I want access to that wisdom in that lifetime where I was an Egyptian priestess. I want to bring that all to me right now. And that's all you have to do or say with your intention.
The green ray, a beacon of hope and renewal, is said to radiate deep healing and profound harmony. It's a cosmic current of balance flowing directly from the universe, designed to touch and transform you. Think of it as a universal embrace, offering solace and strength. Many believe it gently opens your heart, creating space for compassion and understanding.
The Cosmic Founders' promise to us was made with the Emerald Covenant, that all souls in the fallen universe would eventually be found and return back to their original home. This was the original divine plan of spiritual ascension. The evolutionary journey through the astrological ages and timelines would facilitate our way back home, to remember our divine purpose and be reunited with God. I'll go ahead and read the Emerald Covenant to you guys as well. And crystallization. The discernment and thoroughness with which the green ray operates produce in the mind of man an act of final understanding and revaluation of the truth. This is the ray of concentration, as a manifestation of the undisturbed, sustained attention which is attained by consecration. In the green flame, we recognize the seat of the physical healing and perfection. Raphael supports all people on the divine path. He will help you bring healing, health, and wealth. If you just ask for him to help, he will help you develop intuition, improve your vision, and he will bestow upon you divine energy of self-healing. Surround yourself with the green light of the fifth ray and pray for whatever is necessary. For activations and blockages in this energy center. It can manifest and look like being a caregiver or putting others before ourselves. And this is when we're going to the extreme of constantly putting others before us. We're neglecting our well-being.
Master Hilarion. He works on the green ray, the emerald ray of truth and science and healing. And he anchors in the message of that when we heal ourselves, when we bring about our authentic self and cut cords or release ourselves from bondage, we can then step into who we're really meant to be.
Lord Ganesha is the Hindu god of new beginnings, wisdom, and the remover of obstacles. He is the son of Shiva and the goddess Parvati.
For a reason, and it's a very potent stone, that's for sure. Good old Moldavite. And here's a piece of Moldavite right here for you guys to check out. Of Moldavite. Welcome in, Sandy. Green Ray, one love. And then here I have this ring, this Russian diopside with paradox.
Tune in Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. Live.
Well said. Thank you for that. Yeah. It's something I learned about dimensions is that in the third dimension, which is what our physical body is in. And it's like in the third dimension due to how many dimensions there are. It's like the human perceives from a linear standpoint due to being in a third dimension. And then once you go to a fourth dimensional perception, then you move into more dimensions. And then you move out of just linear consciousness, so to say. And then you start seeing things as like quantum. 4D is kind of like the beginning of the quantum realm, so to say. The Akashic records, things like that, the ether. And it's really intriguing because for me, it's like as I learn about multidimensionality and learn that everything is valid and that everything exists, then I started realizing that it's like options, choices of perceptions that we can embody and experience. No right or wrong, just frequency and vibration, basically. And whatever frequency and vibration you're attuning yourself to, then that is the experience you give yourself. And what I really learned is throughout shamanic healing and just journeying holistically is that the more that we can accept that eternalness of ourselves, then we can really let go of a lot of boxes, limited identifications, as well as those like constant bouts of like fear, depression, anxiety, self-sabotage, and you know, beating ourselves up because we see something as linear or not linear. When we're able to kind of just see the validity of all experience and that we're continuous and that we just move forward from that moment, it has brought so much relief to me, because I used to be that way. Because I'm a Gemini sun sign, so I'm very mental energy, and with mental energy you can become very sensitive as well. So if you know you're working on trying to better yourself with your language or the way that you're embodying yourself, and you know you kind of make the mistake, quote unquote, of continuing to say the things that you're trying to not say anymore, I found that doing that almost kind of like put even more density on me, instead of just accepting that I said this and it is what it is, and I can move on and I can say it differently moving forward if I want to. And I'm not really sure why I'm sharing this right now, but I feel like somebody out there may be going through that, especially in their spiritual awakening, because I know during awakenings we can very much oftentimes go into perfectionism really quickly, or kind of think that there's a one size fits all, when really it's just uniqueness and authenticity. And each one of us have a unique blueprint that is individual to ourselves, which means we all have our own unique design of how we walk this path. So thank you for sharing, and I really appreciate you sharing that perspective of all that. So for everybody out there that is, you know, just becoming aware of shamanism, or maybe I've heard about the word shaman, for everyone out there, what's kind of like, you know, your very basic, intangible explanation of shamanism and being a shaman?
Okay. So shamans are psychic mediums. They all are. You can't be a shaman without those abilities. But a medium is only someone that receives messages. All they're doing is relaying message from spirit. What a shaman does is they work with the spirit world So we have our own guides and angels, like everybody does. We have our power animals, and we help spirits. So one of the things that I do is if I find a wayward spirit that has not found itself to go to the light, I will help them go to the light. So that's also called psychopomp. So we help guide them, or we point. It's really very easy. You just point out to them the light portal, which is always there, and have them go there, or it actually pulls them in like a magnet, because they belong in the light. They belong on the other side. So that's one of the things that shamans do. The other thing, we remove energies from people that are not for their highest good. So it could be darker energies or attachments or cords. We can remove those cords. And all of those get sent to the light also. That's all. I mean, it's ultimately sent there. And then we end up, sometimes we encounter beings that are not so good. And depending on their intentions, we can help them. I'm always helping, no matter what. I don't judge. I don't judge the spirit for what they have done or in the past. And I've had kind of like darker spirits come to me for help too. And I've immediately helped them because they want to transition out of this plane. And I send them to the light, just like everybody else, because no matter how dark something is, there's always an inner light within them. There's always, and you can even tell them, look within you for that light, and they'll be surprised because they've been lied to about who they are and where they come from, and that they didn't have any light, but they do, because we all come from Creator. So some people might think that might be a little scary. I think it's just part of life that, there's good humans and more bad humans and everything in between. And in the spirit world, it's the same thing. It's really not any different. But I find it rewarding because I like to be of service to humans, to animals, and also to spirit. So if spirit needs me to help them, I will. Sometimes our ancestors will come through and they need us to do something for them. Why does it have to be me? Why can't my ancestors do it? I'm not quite sure, actually, but sometimes there's a lot of power of being a human on the planet. Especially, you get to dictate what happens on the planet, not spirit, because we're a soul in a body here now. So this is our home in our area. So we get to dictate what happens here. And so often spirit will need help from us. It could be collecting a family soul that got lost, or blessing the land, for example. But yeah, you have a lot of power being a human on the planet. I say that a lot, but we really do. And you get to dictate what happens here. If you want to change things, you can, in a shamanic way, you can create a ceremony on the solstice with intentions of changing what's happening on the planet. Or every day you could look at the sky. There's things going up in the sky. And every day I say a prayer to remove the harmful effects of whatever is being sprayed in the sky. Because I believe that as a human, I get to dictate what's happening here. And I don't have to sit here and allow those things to happen, especially if I don't agree with it.
Yeah, well said. I absolutely agree. And I feel like that's what we're kind of waking up to more as a collective on this planet, is that innate power that we have on this planet. And we for so long have lived our lives thinking that we're just bound to officials or organizations, governments, and they're just the ultimate powers to be. I've actually stopped saying that. For me, I've realized what vocabulary does and how we program ourselves. So I stopped saying powers to be, the elite, stuff like that, because it's almost like a reverse psychology kind of. It's like planting a seed to continue to perpetuate what it is that you're not even no longer trying to be a part of by continuing to classify and view certain beings as more elite than yourself or others. And part of that change, part of that transmutation process that I've learned for me is changing my mental programming and the way that I'm conditioned, and realizing like what energy is behind the things that I'm saying. So like if I'm sitting here saying, oh, these groups of people or these families, they're royal and they're elite, I'm just a human being and I'm just whatever, I'm just someone that they're depriving of power or something, then what happens is we're giving the mental signals and the emotional signals to the universe. Hey, this is my story and this is my reality that I'm experiencing, and this is the timeline that I am on and going to continue to be on. And for me, when I realized that, that's when I started really eliminating that kind of vocabulary. So then I could start seeing and embodying things from a more equal perspective. That, hey, yeah, they may be doing what they're doing through power, manipulation, things like that, but they still have a human body just like us, which means they're also subject to the same human things as us. And not just that, but if we learn about, figures like, I'm not sure if you connect with this archetype, but I'm sure you may because of the shamanism, Anubis. Anubis is a great archetype and a great story of learning how, things can happen in our human journey. And then as those things happen, and they could be abuse, trauma, abandonment, other things of that nature, that can go many different ways. That can go into, people trying to hold power, control others, and develop systems like we see in what we are talking about now. Or it can go into the way where Anubis' journey is going through traumas, abandonment, wounds, and things like that, but then diving into them, facing them, surrendering to them, and alchemizing them into wisdom and empowerment to then not only bring more power into your own internal self, but also to be able to give that back to others. So there's many different contrasts, of course, that happen through traumas and use and other things. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because a lot of these figures that we deem as evil, bad, elite, and things like that, a lot of them, their bloodlines and their ancestral lineages have to do with trauma, abuse, control, manipulation, and other things. And there's never a coincidence in the universe. You learn the hermetic principles of the universe. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has a cause. So no one's just innately evil, and that's it. No one just has no light whatsoever. There's a journey. There's experiences that take place that get somebody to be that negative in their polarity. And with that, we can start learning compassion and understanding instead of this whole division, pushing away, this person's evil, they're no good. We realize that there's opportunity and there is chance for every soul, every single human being. to be able to climb that ladder of ascension again. So that's kind of been my focus lately, is not trying to do the whole pushing away the elite stuff and all that, but just being the best I can be as an example for all, including them. And then with that, keeping my heart open to the opportunity that, hey, maybe one day they'll come across my space. Maybe they'll watch something that I'm teaching. And you just never know. Maybe we can put those seeds into their being, and then they start realizing some things about themselves. What do you think about?
You don't realize who's listening and who's paying attention. And there have been a couple of times, even on Facebook, I would post things and, you know, I wouldn't get a lot of likes or comments, but then I would get a DM one day from an old friend that said, I really have loved all your posts and I'm inspired by you and thank you for doing that. You know, I had no idea. Yeah, this is someone I went to elementary school with. So, you know, we've known each other since we were little. So that's why it's worth it. And I want to go back to the power of our words. There's a wonderful book called The Four Agreements that I always talk about. And one of the agreements is,
I love that one.
Be impeccable with your words. And so we're all battling light and dark, every single one of us. You know, we have the negative talk, and then hopefully we have some positive talk. And it's like, you know, in the old cartoons when you had like the devil on your shoulder and the angel on your shoulder, and they're both talking to you at the same time.
It makes me think of what's that cartoon? The Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it's probably one of those, but I remember they would depict that in the cartoon, and they, you know, who are you going to listen to? Who are you going to believe is telling you the truth? And I believe we all come from love. So anything that's negative is a lie anyway. It's a lie. And one of the ways to combat negative thinking is you just say that's a lie when the thought comes in. And it disempowers that energy because you're not listening, you're not believing, and you believe that, you know, we all come from love. And so if we all come from love, anything else is false. So we also have to understand that as humans, we are antennas and receivers. We are magnetic and electric. We are receiving information that is not necessarily coming from us. So yes, you have been lied to because they told us that all our thoughts are from us. It's not, because you can receive energy and thoughts from somewhere else. Think of your aura. You have a bubble around you of energy, an aura. And it goes out pretty far depending on the person. So some maybe 3 feet, some maybe 6 to 9 feet. I've been told mine can go out 12 feet. I think it's even farther now. It's not something that I'm conscious of, but I can pull my energy toward me, which is what I do when I go out in public, because I don't want to pick up on other people's feelings and energies when I'm in the grocery store. But we all have that aura. So say, you know, when a client comes, sometimes I tell them we're sitting in each other's auras right now. I'm in your energy field and you're in mine. And if I'm trained to be calm and in an alpha brain frequency, which is what Reiki does, it entrains and influences the energies around me, including my client. So they've done studies on Reiki where they'll measure the brain waves, and the practitioner's brain waves go into alpha, and then the recipient's brain waves go into alpha. So we do this all the time. If some of us are sweepers and we're sweeping the energy everywhere we go, and a lot of us do this unconsciously. It's just by being us. And I think that's why it's important to be authentically you, because just you don't have to do anything. You just have to be you, and you can influence and change.
Wow, soul medicine today. Tell you what, you're just lighting it up over here. You know, I've learned so much about authenticity, especially on this journey. And that's a journey in itself right there. Moving through your insecurities, moving through being seen, moving through, the mental chatters, the sabotage, all these different things. And I tell you what, it is one of the most beautiful and empowering things to step through that. And I encourage everybody out there, if you guys have something that you're very passionate about, something that you know is a great gift to those around you, because maybe your family and your friends have told you and they found great benefit. I know it may be a little scary, nerve-wracking to get yourself out there, but I really encourage that we think about the positivity, think about the opportunities, think about the impact and possibility that it could have not only on you, but on others as well. And think about the impact that whatever it is that you want to share has had on you in your life. And just think about how that could potentially give them a similar positive and uplifting effect, just like it did for you. And that's how it started for me, actually. A little bit about my journey is I dealt with a lot of addiction. I dealt with a lot of street life, selling drugs, stuff like that. And, I was one of those people that loved it so much that that was the life I wanted to live my whole life. And as time went on, I started learning meditation, Reiki, chakra balancing, breath work, shamanic healing. And when I started learning these practices, I started integrating them in my everyday life and practicing on my own after learning through my friend. And I started doing chakra balance meditations as well as other inner works as well. And what I had noticed was the more I continued to do that, the more I was naturally, when I say naturally, I really mean like the full term naturally. I naturally was letting go of attached impulse or desires to feel like I need something outside of me to make me feel whole. And as time went on, more and more I just kept solidifying my chakra balancing and continuing to not only do the practices, but continue to learn why and how and what it does on a multidimensional level to do these type of practices, as in, understanding the chakras, understanding how mental health works, how emotional health works, and physical health, and finding that it's all connected and correlated, and we can use these practices to go after all of them. It really changed everything for me, and I started really letting go and inside when it came to substance abuse, as well as really allowing my impulse to take me over and lead me into positions and environments that I should not have been in for my highest good. So these practices, last thing I want to say is keep in mind that it's not one size fits all, and that also you're gonna be a process. It's gonna take a process, and it's gonna be a journey of healing the aspects of yourself that you're wanting to heal. So meditation is not designed to just be like, Oh, I did one 10-minute chakra balance. Now I've let go of all my wounds or my traumas. And it's a process. It's like each meditation will chip away and then it'll just continue to build momentum for you. But the key is you want to kind of keep being consistent with it and then kind of, take off the runway. It's like you warm up, and the more you warm up, then your system gets used to that. You create a pattern. That pattern becomes a programming, and then you program yourself through that pattern and consistency. And this is how human beings are designed. We're literally made off of patterns, intention, and repetition, basically. And that's with everything. So whatever it is in our life that we are continuing to do every day or do the most of, and we're in repetition of, most likely that's going to be in our subconscious self. And then it's going to continue to autopilot into our everyday conscious life until we rewire and reprogram that. So that's why a lot of us, we may be trying to, heal or go through an awakening or whatever it may be. And we're changing our diet, or maybe we're going to see different people, but we had never went into our subconscious. We had never cleared out the unconscious patterns that are continuing to cycle in our energy field. So then we find ourselves in the new space, the new environment, or even a new home, but we have the same patterns following us. And then those patterns continue. So I learned about subconscious healing, shamanic healing to help me in those type of ways, because I realized that what's within you comes with you, no matter where you go. So you can move houses, you can do all these different things, but if you're not healing the aspects of yourself that are attached to certain things, it's likely it'll continue to pattern into our life.
Yeah, what even moves with you is from other lifetimes.
So
I'll even give you an example. I've been trying to heal sciatic pain for months, and it is much, much better, by the way, but I've been hitting it at all different angles. Doctors, physical therapy, past life regression, Reiki, I've been doing it all. And one of those most powerful things I found out is this pain that I've been feeling on my right side has to do with another lifetime, and it has to do with my mother. So my mother passed away at the age of 89 in December. And this is around the time the sciatic pain started. So I know there's a connection there, because there is nothing that is random. Whenever you have a physical symptom, you need to look at what's going on in your life at the time that the physical symptom started. So I was in this regression. My dear friend was doing it for me. She's a hypnotherapist, and she said, describe what this pain feels like. I said, it feels like knives in my hip. And she said, well, start describing the knives. What does that look like? And when I started describing them and envisioning them, all of a sudden I got swooshed, what I think like grabbed, and went back to a lifetime. And I suddenly saw this board, a square wooden board with knives sticking out of it. And this was like a torture device. And this device was used on me as a 12-year-old girl who had a mother that was a healer. And this is at the time where they were, they were hunting for us, for healers. And they had already killed my mother, and that was also my mother in this lifetime. So it made sense that when my mother passed in December, that fear all came again. And the fear was, I'm next. My mother's gone, I'm next. So what I had to do was acknowledge that, meet with my torturers on a spirit level, and and talk with them, and they apologized for what they did, and I made them promise they would never do it again to anybody, and to connect with my mother too. And it made a lot of sense, because sometimes you're feeling anger towards someone and you're not sure why.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually because it's not from this lifetime. It's bleeding over from another lifetime. So, I love past life regressions. I think everybody should do them, because you are not just a person in this body now. You're affected by all these other things. And even the way someone dies can affect them. What you were feeling and thinking at the time of death can bleed over into this lifetime. And in that lifetime as a little girl, I just had a lot of anger that I was being killed for something that I didn't even do, that I was innocent of. And I thought it was amazing that I even became a healer in this lifetime, given what happened in that one, with that latent unconscious fear inside.
Redemption.
Yeah. And then learning all of this is healing. Awareness is healing. Then things start to make sense. You go, oh my God, that's why I felt this way. This is why I was so angry. And you're able to let it go because you don't want to carry that energy anymore. It's already happened. It's done.
Yep.
We don't need to keep reliving this, refeeling this, keeping the cycle going. Let's let it go with your intention. Let it go. And so that was really powerful. And it made a lot of sense. And it made a lot of sense in terms of my relationship too with my mother as well, that it wasn't her fault either. That we were all innocent in this and blameless in this.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a powerful thing to be here to talk about this. This video, Marcus, could exist in 100 or 200 years. Our great grandchildren could be watching this.
Yeah, that's what I love about it.
They'll know us. They could sit for an hour and a half and listen to my great grandfather Marcus, and the founder of Sacred Light, and I can get to know him on the level that most of us don't even barely know our grandparents or great grandparents.
Yeah.
So that's another why I keep talking about this, and I keep doing the podcast, Voices of Healing, and because this is a legacy for me. The book is a legacy for my descendants, for people in the future. And hopefully those people are going to be like, man, Tina and Marcus were ahead of their time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I already know.
They're the way showers, the pioneers. They kept at it. They didn't give up. I've been getting that message a lot lately, right. Marcus.
We're the Bob Marleys, the Michael Jacksons. That's who we are in this generation.
Yep, never give up. I've been getting that constantly been hearing those words. So that's basically my MO. So, I don't give up. I'm pretty stubborn about things. And I'm a big believer that we're here for a reason. Each and one of you who are listening and watching this, you are here for a reason. Find out what that is. And if you're having a difficult time figuring that out, reach out to people who have done it, who have been working on it for years, like Marcus or myself or someone else. But get some help, because I'm here to win. When I talk to other light workers and they start getting, discouraged, I said, I'm not here to lose. Like, I didn't come in here and pick my natal chart and get born where I was born and go through all of these challenges and difficulties so that I could lose. I said, I'm not losing. I'm winning. We're going to win. The
That's
light is
right.
going to win. The light is so much powerful than the dark. And I'm here to enjoy things now. And I've already seen a lot of things that are very encouraging now.
Mm-hmm. Big time. Like
And
things that,
I want to give props to people who became Reiki healers in the 80s, in the 70s, who people who were talking about this stuff when nobody knew what they were talking about. You know, they just were like, I have no idea what this person's talking about, or I don't know what this book is about. But they still talked about it. They still wrote about it. They still put it out there just for the potential of future generations who would get it.
mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Gratitude.
It's an exciting time to be here. We're in a transitional phase between two ages, the Piscean and the Aquarian. There's always upheaval in those transition phases. Always. But hey, that's why we chose to be here. So
That's right.
it's an exciting time. It's a difficult time. But I think it's a very creative time too, because we can create what we want to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very powerful words. And you know what you were saying with like the winning aspect of things is, you know, my mentality is always that there'll always be opportunity, or there'll always be the next moment. And when I say that, it's not third dimensional, it's multi-dimensional, as in we'll always have the next moment consciously, whether it's in a physical body or out of a physical body. No matter what, the source, the divine, created this eternal life game for us to be eternal in this. And you know, the more we can separate, or not separate, the more we can dissolve separation within ourselves, you know, separation of this lifetime and that lifetime, separation of night and day, separation of you know, this year and that year. And what I mean by that is, instead of seeing them as separate, like I'm separate in this body from who I was in Egypt, there's not a separation, there's a connection. And when we can see that there's a continuous connection, and the key word is continuous, everything is continuous. Night is continuous into day, and day is continuous into night, and then it continues, it's continuous. So it's not like we're just like daytime, all of a sudden there's a gap of no existence, and then we're in nighttime. It's a continuous conscious flow of energy in life. So when you realize that, and then you start realizing it's multi-dimensional that way as well. Third dimension is continuous with the fourth and the fifth, and they're all continuous together. Then that's when you step into that quantum realm, and you're no longer having the experiences and the energy of being fractured or separated from these things, and you're able to tap more into that natural, harmonic and fluid flow of the eternal spirit, because you're no longer in the embodiment of being so fractured and dismembered, and you're just whole with it, you're just flowing. Even when you go through something, you're still realizing, I'm going through something, but this is just a temporary experience, and I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to have the next moments afterwards. I'm going to go have dinner later, you know, like that's what life is. Like we go through things, and then once we're done, we're out having dinner, we're going out to eat, doing human things, you know, go bowling. Like That's how powerful we are. That's how magical we are, is that, you know, we can go through what feels like the worst thing possible inside of our mind, and then come out of it, and then just go on moving forward with our life. And when you kind of start seeing that in a simple way of this is how we live life in every moment, continuously, life and death, life and death, life and death, because death is nothing more than the gateway for transformation, then there's nothing to fear, because we're literally dying every day. We're living every day, and then we're dying again, and then we're living. And you just realize it's all one and continuous. You free yourself from that. It's just, oh my gosh, this aligns perfectly with, you know, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean. And I actually just finished this, tablet number 2. It's about the Halls of Amenti. The Halls of Amenti is talking about the dimensions and the polarities. So Thoth talks about his journey as Thoth incarnated in Atlantis. And he's sharing his wisdom of what he experienced through his lens in Atlantis. And he explains what the halls are and the dimensions and duality. And he explains that he was able to basically ascend and graduate out of being subject to duality and to the dimensions, because he became enlightened in the awareness and the embodiment that he already is the source, and the source is him, and that he's not bound and subject to only the dualistic planes of life, that he is a whole being that is the source experiencing, that is just moving through and fluctuating dimensions of life at free will. And it's at free will. It's all of our free will. And that free will is either consciously used or it's just unconsciously on autopilot. But either way, that free will is happening, and it's steering us into a timeline. So what timeline are you attuned to? Is the question for all of you out there.
And Thoth is a perfect example of a teacher that never gave up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine, and you could even look at Jesus as this way too. I mean, when he was speaking about healing and performing miracles, how many people around him didn't get what he was saying? Or even the apostles, I think, were puzzled and didn't always understand what he was talking about. But, you know, Thoth is, I believe Thoth and Isis, Anubis, all of those beings came from the future. And they backtracked back to Egypt at that time for teachings because they wanted to help humanity. And Jesus the same way, he did the same thing. Everything was perfectly divinely aligned. They prepared for hundreds of years for Jesus to be born. It was a group effort, intergenerational effort to prepare for him to come. So, kudos to them, man, for not giving up, like, because we're still talking about them to this day. We're still trying to understand what they taught, what they wrote, what they embodied, what they represented. The beautiful thing, and we're finally starting to really understand again what they were trying to teach us. And if you want to learn anything, look to them. Look to those teachers. Those ancient teachers like Buddha, Kuan Yin, Jesus, Thoth, Isis, Hathor, Sekhmet, Anubis. What were they trying to teach us? So, and then there are teachers here. There are teachers available now in the flesh. You know, go find them. You can't find them, go online. Right. Books. Books are teachers.
Yeah,
read
I
some
love
books, people. Get off the phone.
Or if you are going to be on your phone, use it consciously. We have a multitude of quantum information that we can access. So, I mean, if you're going to use it, like, use it for positive opportunity instead of, you know, the stuff that's derailing you.
And I can tell, Marcus, that you've done the work, because I don't really have to hold back talk talking to you and you're getting it. You know, like I know you're receiving it and you understand it, and I can tell you really worked a lot on yourself. And
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah. And so I could get woo and crazy with you and you'd be like, yes, you know, I can accept this.
We can go as deep as we want to into consciousness, or we can also go talk about football and basketball. That's how diverse I am.
That's wonderful. And I think it's amazing. You overcame so many challenges and here you are. But I think oftentimes the most difficult journeys make the best healers and teachers.
Why do so many seekers say their lives changed after one weekend in nature? Could a drum beat really open your heart? Come find out at Soul Family Rising. On September 13th and 14th, journey with us to Lake Hope in the heart of Zaleski State Forest, Ohio, for a 2-night elemental drum medicine retreat like no other. Surrounded by ancient trees and fresh air, you'll step into a true soul family, where connection, healing, and laughter are all part of the rhythm. Our flow shops are led by an incredible team. Christina Cheyenne of Sacred Vibrations, Victoria Ann Ilg, Heather Lynn of Heart Alchemy Wellness, and Marcus Christolite of Sacred Light. They'll guide you in elemental practices that bring balance and clarity, tapping into earth, water, fire, air, and spirit. Plus, don't miss our special guest, Chuck Wilson of Walkin' Drums, a master shamanic drum maker whose drum flow shop is truly unforgettable. Whether you're new to drumming or a seasoned spirit traveler, you'll feel the power of rhythm to awaken and heal. All meals, blessed with love and gratitude by Grandmother Katie Singing Eagle, are included, with vegetarian options so everyone feels nourished. Bring your kids, your parents, your friends. This retreat is truly family-friendly, with ages 8 and under free, 9 to 16 just $20, and adults only $55 for the whole weekend. Camping, meals, flow shops, all covered. Just bring yourself, an open heart, and a sense of wonder. Space is limited, so register now by scanning the QR code or visiting the link on our flyer. Questions? Text Marcus Christolite at 513-238-5580. This September, let's rise together. Your soul family is waiting.
And perhaps maybe we put ourselves in these situations to challenge ourselves, to remind us to wake ourselves up to ourselves even sooner than everybody else. And that's a hard journey to be on. But is it worth it? Yes.
Oh my gosh. I can't even put the volume of energy into my expressions of how worth it is. Like, I mean, just having this conversation and like thinking about what it is that I'm doing that is like, you know, tied to this conversation and everything else connected is just like, I would never even fathomed as a child that I would be a producer, that I would have my own broadcast network for a worldwide community now, that I would be literally getting told time after time that I hold like the most beautiful spaces and that I hold safe spaces that people can't even find in their life. I mean, that stuff you cannot put anything on. No money, no happiness. It's infinite love. Like when you really see people shift and change in the ways that they may never have in their whole life because of the way that you're able to just be a space holder or an instrument for them to realize their own power within them. Man, there ain't nothing more special on this planet for me than doing this right here.
I agree. And the changes that I see in my clients just within an hour session just blows me away, and it keeps me motivated and inspired to keep on and keep at it. Because that's nothing, when you're someone of service and you see how your service is changing the world, there's nothing better than that. Or just changing one person's life. There's nothing better than that.
Got that right.
That's what we live for, right, Marcus?
Absolutely. Like that's literally what I was at least born here for is like, serve, to be a gift, to like use the most of this vessel while I have it. Because, at some point we leave the vessel. So it's like, if we know that we came here, we're going to leave here, and we're still going to continue with a different life and continue on, why not make the most of it? Like, yeah, you may be tired a little bit, or you may be a little sore because you're putting in extra hours to get your business up and running, or you're putting in extra hours to create content. But think about the value of that sacrifice, rather than sacrificing yourself to a large corporate chain, or go work a 9 to 5, 6 days a week, when you can shift all that momentum and all that energy that you're manifesting with and invest it into yourself and into your passions and your services. Then you can really rearrange your whole life timeline. But I want to say though, being in this third dimension, it means there's a process and there's a journey. So we can't get from point A to point C while having these physical bodies. It's point A, the steps to point B, and the steps to point C to fully materialize. And the reason why I say this is because, I'll give you an example. I just left my regular work job in November. And what I had to realize throughout that journey was, number one, I can't just go from having sustainable income to just completely 0 to 100 of working, just leave, and then all of a sudden be fully successful independently. I had to realize that it's a process and a journey to do that. And that's how it is in this 30D world. If we want to become something, or we want something, then we have to take the steps in the process in order for that to happen. And it took me a little while. At first, kind of jumped a little too early, didn't have the right things in place, didn't have a good vision for myself fully. So then I had to go back. But then this time around, November, I really had this all laid out, and I really knew what I was doing, and I had myself ready to go and of service to people. So now it's more of a natural process of just weaning off of the job and continuing to put more focus into this. And then while doing so also, I realized that there's a healing process in that transformation, because my nervous system, the way that my mind was, the way that my body reacted to life, was based off of the conditions that I've been placed in through my work job. So I had to really sit with myself as well in that process and do some shamanic healing on myself. I had to rebalance my nervous system. I had to refocus my mind, because my mindset was so used to, I gotta focus and be ready at this time. I gotta get ready to go out and do this at this time. And the more you do that, you get so used to that. So that when you take that away, your ego, your body is like, what's going on? This is what we do. So then I had to really sit and ground and like recalibrate myself and let go of all that. And then I became more naturally grounded and at peace and at ease with having a free-flowing life. So I just wanted to share that, because I know there's a lot of us out there that just really don't want to work that job and really want to do an independent entrepreneurship. And just keep in mind of the steps that it takes and the journey along with it, and that you may have to recalibrate and reprogram yourself from that lifestyle that you were in. So as we kind of trail into the last section of this podcast, there's something I kind of wanted to bring up, because we've talked a lot about, the positives and the enlightening and wonderful things of shamanism. And I think this would be a great opportunity to talk about the other polarity of it, and talk about, security, sacredness, things to look out for, the way that negative energies can interact with us. And also, I think it'd be good to touch on, a little bit of spiritual maintenance as well, and spiritual hygiene when it comes to exchanging these energies?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I first started doing this work, I wanted to be safe and protected because I knew there were energies and entities out there that weren't good. And I wanted to be able to discern who was benevolent and who was not. And so it's almost like I made a request from Spirit saying, I'll do this, but I need protection. And so I do receive it, but I think a good way to protect yourself is to shield your energy. And in fact, I don't even shield my energy anymore. But beginners should do this, like in imagining a bubble of light around you, or and intentioning that only benevolent energies get close to you or near you, and it kind of protects you from the other. Or one of my favorites is Archangel Michael's cloak of protection. So I imagine a beautiful indigo cloak, and pull it over your shoulders so it goes down to your feet, and you pull a hood over your head down to your chin. So when I first learned these shielding techniques, I would do them every night before I went to sleep. And I even would shield everybody in my house and even my own home. And as my energy got stronger, my practice got stronger, I now just go into my heart chakra and I push love energy out. And not only is that clearing, but it's also protective. But I will tell you, the number one thing to be protected and to stay within yourself is to be calm and don't go into fear. So whatever happens, there are beings that like to feed off of your fear, and they will try to trigger you. And I'm talking about spirit, and humans will do this. They will try to trigger you, get you into fear, and then they literally want to suck your energy. And when you have a powerful energy, you need to protect yourself and make sure that not any person or being can come by and take it from you. So I learned a lot of those techniques in the beginning, and because of the spirits and my power animals and my protectors, I've got a whole gang that I can call on. So that's why as a shaman, I'm blessed, because I have these relationships with different beings that I can call on at any time if I need them. But yeah, you do need to know what your energy is, know that other energies outside of you, and know that not everyone has your highest good in mind for you. And that's simply reality, whether they're human or spirit.
Yeah, well said. And I just want to add to that. This discernment is very key. Discernment, for everybody out there, if you don't know what discernment means, I'm sure you heard of it. But discernment is your ability to process the information and the energy coming into your field, and not only process it, but to become aware of what it is. As in, like, what is the energy behind the information? What is the intention behind this person's words? That's your discernment, your ability to filter that through your being and come into a clear state of what the actual intention is behind it. And your discernment center is actually your throat chakra, for everybody out there. Your throat chakra is where you discern information. So, if we're all disoriented, blocked up, and going through all these imbalances, and then our throat chakra is imbalanced, then it's going to be maybe a little more difficult for you to naturally discern the energy that's around you. So that's why we find a lot of manipulation happening, because of disoriented chakras. A lot of human beings have disoriented chakras. And then when those disorientations happen, then it leaves us susceptible to not being as conscious within ourselves, because our chakras give us the access to different conscious dimensions of life. So if those conscious dimensions are blocked from coming into your physical life or coming into your human being, then we're going to experience those things like illness, disease, manipulation, control, whether it's coming from us or we're attracting it. And yeah, just discern out there, guys. Like, a lot of people in this day and age, you know, this is really great because honestly, there's a post on my page that I shared talking about this stuff. And there's people out there that, well, number one, they'll use spirituality as a decoration, or they'll use it as an identification. And then they could use that as a way to gain control or to gain power or to use their image. And there's also folks out there that will use it to monopolize. There's folks that will take advantage of others with it. And there's also a lot of sexual taking advantage that takes place in the spiritual world as well. And these are things to discern. So really think about who you are fully surrendering your human being to, because you're not only giving up your human being, but you're also giving your soul to this individual to rearrange your whole entire makeup of your being. And you don't have anything more than this being when it comes to this earth. So if you're giving away your being and then someone's disorienting it, manipulating it for their own purposes and intentions, that could really put you in some really dark places. And again, I'm gonna say it, just discern, everybody. Discern.
Yeah,
and don't feel like you're pressured to jump into anything right away. Don't feel like anything is going to be the end all be all if you don't receive a healing or whatever from that person. Because I get those people message me and they'll say, I have a message from the ancestors blah blah blah. And what I find is that it's a scam, and it's also a scam on your energy, and it puts you into a place of fear and puts you into a negative vibration, because you're then thinking that you need to seek somebody outside of you in order to reach your ancestors when your ancestors are inside of you.
Yes. Your ancestors, your angels, your guardian angels, your spirit guides, they all hang out right up here. They're all part of your crown chakra. There's nothing any different between you and them. You are all one. And one thing I wanted to mention is if you can't clear your mind of the constant thoughts, you're never going to really know yourself. Because all of that is all just noise. And once you can clear the noise, you can go within into your feeling energy, which is how your soul communicates with you, is through feelings and how you feel. And that's where the discernment comes in. And so I know people feel frustrated because they have monkey mind. I had monkey mind too. I'm a thinker. Marcus said he was a thinker. It can be done. It can be done with practice. It's like a muscle that you keep working out and it gets stronger and stronger. And so when I had little children, I didn't have time to meditate. So I would practice mindfulness. I would mindfully wash the dishes. I would mindfully, take a walk. And I would practice clearing my mind while walking and just focusing on the environment around me. And when I got good at that, I would meditate. I would do self-guided meditations because I couldn't just sit there and meditate. I followed somebody's voice and their visualization, and I would visualize what the voice was saying. And then after a while, I got better at that. And so it's the steps again that Marcus was talking about. You know, you're taking steps, and as you get better and better in your practice, you'll realize one day I could be anywhere and I'm not thinking about anything at all. I'm just being very present and noticing what's around me. And I'm not thinking about it. And I'm not in the past or in the future, possible future. I'm in the now. And so you can do this. This is a practice, because the reason why it's difficult is because no one taught us this when we were little. We were mindful and present as children. And then, you know, no one told us that was valuable, you know, and it was all, especially in this country, US, think. Everything's in the mind. Everything's stuck in the mind. Yeah, and that's why that's why everybody's so unhappy. Get out of the mind.
Because everybody's
clear the mind.
Everybody's depleting their divine feminine.
Yeah. Go into your feeling. How do you feel about things? Does that feel good? Does it feel exciting? Are you excited about learning about something new? Do you feel pulled toward a person, or pulled toward a book, or pulled toward a location? The pulling is a message from the body, from the feeling body. And then it's your choice, of course, whether you want to follow it or not.
Yep, that's right. And I gotta say too, like, especially with how toxic this world has been, if you're feeling like you're having a hard time with being in tune with your intuition, because maybe, you know, your cells are all blocked up and congested, and your nervous system's out of whack, and you know, your mind is full of negative memories and patterns, I kind of just advise not really trying to become something else or trying to take on more, but potentially maybe just sitting with your own self, of course, basing it on your own self. Maybe consider detoxing, fasting, cleansing your mind, emotions, and body. So then you can create more space and more fluidity through your system. And then your energy will be able to flow more. And then you'll have more support within yourself to become what it is that you want to become. I know we always talk about manifesting and becoming and all this stuff, but part of, and this goes back to processes again, part of the process is understanding that we have an internal and an external world. And if we're never addressing our, this kind of goes back to the earlier conversation, that internal world is going to continue to drag with you. So that's also taking up space. And when I say taking up space, it's taking up space within your aura. And then if our space is clogged up, it's going to be difficult to feel the freedom, to feel the connection to the stillness. So if you feel like you're having a hard time being able to access that stillness or that free flow of energy, then that's what I would do if I was you in your shoes, is I would find ways to cleanse and detox and clear attachments out of my mind, body, emotions. And I could tell you what, if you understand how the multidimensional human works, your fourth dimensional light body is then able to come more online into your third dimensional body through your chakras and your meridians and your electrical system. And that's a whole nother topic, but if you guys want to learn more in depth, you guys can go to my YouTube channel, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness, and go to playlist Light Body Awareness 101. I do a full-blown whiteboard teaching for you, explaining the light body, the chakras, and the relation to our human self.
Yeah, and if you need help,
it's been a wonderful, wonderful conversation, I gotta say.
If you need help clearing that energy, find a good Reiki practitioner, because that's exactly what they do. When I see a client, I assess their chakras, see how they're spinning. We do the session, clears out your energy body, gets all those chakras circling big and strong, so you have all that energy. And what happens? You just got rid of everything kind of taking up space in your aura. You have now open space for new things. You will have the energy to search. You'll be inspired. You'll want to take on new learnings, projects, and it's an amazing thing to see. So if you're feeling blocked, and a lot of people do, find a good Reiki practitioner to help you clear that out for yourself. Or get Reiki trained. That too.
Yes. Reiki is such a nice tool to have, because you can literally just allow it to start flowing through you once you're attuned. And when I say it flowing through you, in a more, I guess, clear way, so to say, when you get that attunement. But I also say too, guided meditations are excellent as well. There's so many on YouTube, including my own self. I have like 30 on my YouTube channel that you guys can access. Egypt ones, Archangel ones, Atlantis, Lemuria, all sorts of cool stuff. And I do a lot of chakra balancing in those meditations. It's almost like a standard for me. So, meditation, yoga, and the things that she's mentioned that you hear about a lot are very great to integrate. So as we wrap up, I would like to give you a moment to be able to talk about this wonderful book that you have written and that is published. What was it called again? I don't know what just happened.
Into the Tree, Journeying into Spirit World.
Into the Tree. Yeah, so I'd like to give you a moment to talk about that and share where people can support and also read your book.
Okay, so the book is a compilation of 80 shamanic journeys and soul retrievals I performed over the years. And it also has a beginning section that talks about shamanism, the type of shamanism that I practice, and also how to do your own shamanic journey. So the book is available on Amazon. You can get print or Kindle versions. Again, it's called Into the Tree, Journeying into the Spirit World. If you'd like a signed copy, contact me directly on my website, and I'll get you a signed copy as well. I also wanted to mention that I am co-hosting a spiritual tour to Egypt this fall on September 12th to the 23rd. We'll be going to over 11 ancient sites, and we will have 3 private tours of the Sphinx, the Great Pyramid, and the Temple of Isis. And we're also going to have a private Nile cruise just for our group. So this is a spiritual tour. If you're interested in spirituality, I will be holding space for everyone on this trip, and we will be connecting deeply with these locations. If you've ever had interest in Egypt or believe that you had lives in Egypt, this is going to be an amazing trip and tour for you. And all that information is on my website, or you can contact me directly for more details.
Wow, sounds amazing, especially that Egypt tour. That sounds incredible. And for everybody out there that could be local, tapping in, where are you located?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. So if you're in the area, come see me, come get a Reiki session, or I can do shamanic journeys and soul retrievals online as well. So I can do them remotely for you. I perform them, and then I write up a detailed report, send it to you, and answer any questions you may have.
Amazing. So for everybody out there, her site is my.linkpod.site/Tina K. Clarke. And you can find everything nicely organized for you guys on her website. You guys can check that out anytime. You guys can reach out to her and ask questions, as she said. And yeah, thank you so much, Tina, for such a beautiful and just opening session today. I mean, this was, I don't even know how to explain it, but so beautiful, and I feel the expansion that has taken place with this space. So thank you for being a space holder with me.
Thank you so much, Marcus. I'm so glad we connected, and the universe put us together for a reason. So we had combined our energies on the podcast, and now it's out there in the world.
That's right. So for everybody out there, this was another episode of the Process of Clearing Layers, Season 2. And this was our wonderful sacred guest, Tina Clarke, owner of Stargazing Angel LLC, also podcast host and much more. Reach out and ask questions. Feel free to comment below and give your feedback, or even ask questions, maybe even share some knowledge you have about shamanism to add and expand to what we shared, as we're always open to being a student and a teacher as we walk through this human journey. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Tina, have a wonderful day, and everybody out there, wholeness and balanced love. (2023) Mother Gaia, third dimensional planet, ascending. Thank you from the Sacred Light Broadcast Network and Sacred Light Productions for tapping in and tuning in to all live and replay content, holistic, conscious, for your empowerment. Tap in to the Christ light within. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember that you are the one that you have been looking for. Enjoy this content. If you would like to collaborate or receive production through myself, Marcus Crystallite, direct message or email me at marcustut23@gmail.com to discuss details. Wholeness and balanced love. Ashe.